Look at the age in which we live. Calendars laminated, reminders chiming, emails stacked in color-coded urgency. Managing people, managing timing, managing narratives, and then baptizing it with the holy name, responsibility. And yet, have you noticed the ache under the polish? The forehead tightens, the jaw holds, sleep turns shallow, and in the quiet moment, when no one is asking anything, you are still arranging. You call it prudence. The body calls it strain. The soul calls it exile. Here is the paradox, and I want you to hear it as simply as I can say it. The more you attempt to control outcomes, the more life seems to resist you. Effort increases, peace decreases. The doors you push fly back against the hand. You draft plans more minutely, and the minutes themselves rebel. You can win the argument and lose your breath. You can gain the timing and forfeit the presence. Don't you see? Control promises safety, but it quietly replaces communion with strain. Now let us be fair. Faithfulness is not the enemy. To keep an appointment, to answer a letter, to make a promise and keep it, these are honest acts. But the inner compulsion to govern the harvest, to dictate to the season, to outline the path of another's heart, and then to crown it, to bring God in as the co-signer of your outline. This is not responsibility. This is fear in religious dress. Would you like to instruct God? Tell omniscience the hours he should be wise? The Master did not. Prayer is not anxiety recited with sacred phrases. Prayer is not, Lord, cooperate with my design. Prayer is communion. It is the willingness to be still without a bargain. It is the humble consent to be governed by that which already governs. And here, right here, is the opening crack in the tyranny. There comes a moment when the will loosens, and in that loosening, something else begins to act. Grace. Not as a word you repeat, you will know the difference. In control, the pulse hammers. In communion, it quiets. In control, you draft outcomes. In communion, you discover order. In control, the future dictates the present. In communion, the present declares, God is. I am. And from that is and am, the very things you were chasing begin to assume their places without pressure. I am not asking you to become careless. I am asking you to become carefree, free of the care that imagines itself the savior of the day. Yield the outline. Lay down the right to steer another's ship. Withdraw the subtle demand you make upon tomorrow. Seek now the kingdom, not its effects, not its proofs, God. And watch how the promise keeps itself. As you cease to govern outcomes, grace ceases to be a concept and becomes the government. Then responsibility is not the tyranny of your managing. It is the simplicity of being led. Would you like to instruct God? Would you like to tell infinite wisdom what to do, when to do it, and how it must appear? Don't you see that this is what most trying amounts to? We decorate it with earnest words. We frame it as responsibility. We even kneel to do it. But the inner motion is the same. Father, here is my outline. Please sign here. The jaw tightens, the breath shortens, and we call that prayer. It is not prayer. It is bargaining with an imagined deity who needs our counsel. I do not question your sincerity. Sincerity is not the issue. Direction is. You have turned to God, yes, but in which way? Toward God as manager of your plan, or toward God as God. The Master did not say, "Seek ye first the arrangement, and these other things shall confirm it." He said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." My authority for this is the Christ teaching. If we seek things, even spiritualized things, we live tomorrow forward. If we seek God, we live now. Would you like to instruct God on the temperature of your healing, the timing of your reconciliation, the size of your check? Would you like to stipulate that it come through this channel, to that mailbox, before Friday at 4? That is not trust. That is fear wearing a halo. And fear always asks for a future. Communion knows only the present. Communion says, God is, I am, now. Listen to your own phrases when you are trying. They are full of futures and conditions. When this happens, then I will be at peace. Or, if God will only bring this to pass, then I will serve. That is a bargain, not a prayer. The desire in it is not for God, it is for security. Desire is sin when it is for effect. The desire to know God is prayer. When that desire alone is present, the heart rests. When the heart rests, grace begins to act, not as a concept, not as a promise postponed, but as operative love governing where you cease to govern. I have watched students take the Master's words and color them with the ink of their anxiety. They hear added, and they leap over seek. They hear all these things, and they skip the kingdom. And then they say, I prayed. No, you worried at God. You spoke to omniscience as if it were uninformed, to omnipotence as if it were reluctant. Would you like to instruct God? Or would you prefer to be instructed by God? Turn then from management to realization. Enter the silence not to direct, but to consent. Say within yourself, reveal thyself. Not repair this, not hurry that, but simply reveal. This is humility, and humility is power because it is agreement with reality. In that agreement, the strain drops, the outline dissolves, and the government shifts. You will find that what you tried to secure by pressure appears by presence. Seek the kingdom, and let the adding take care of itself. Let me give you the simplest key I know, and it has carried me through when every other word was too many. The two miracle words are is and am. Not will be, not shall be, not when. Now. God is. I am. With those two words, the mind is recalled from yesterday's guilt and tomorrow's fear to the one place where God can be known. Here. Anxiety always lives in a forecast. Guilt always lives in a rerun. Grace is never found in either. Grace is recognized where consciousness stops traveling and abides. Be still and know. Not be busy and guess. Not be clever and plan. Still. Now. God is. I am. Do you feel the unclenching? That is the soul remembering its home. When the mental movie begins, what if? What then? What about? Stop it without an argument. Do not counsel it. Do not fight it. Simply assert, softly but with authority, God is. I am. Here. Now. No adjectives after God. No conditions after I am. The mind will try to add a clause. God is if, I am when. Refuse the clause. The Master never taught, "I and the Father will be one after circumstances cooperate." He said, "I and the Father are one." Present tense identity is the end of future tense prayer. This is not a trick of words. It is the way consciousness comes out of time into God. In time, you negotiate with images. Out of time, you rest in principle. Take no thought for your life, the Master said. That is not negligence. It is the sign of a consciousness resting in divine government. Take no thought means do not outline tomorrow's bread or tomorrow's answer. Let the Father who is know himself as your sufficiency, this minute. Then action, if needed, will flow as the natural order of that sufficiency. Orders, emails, scalpels, contracts, all can be used, but not as gods, not as causes. Cause is God. Effect appears when cause is realized. Try it in the places where you have been most tempted to hurry God. In the office, when the deadline speaks loud. Before the doctor, when numbers parade as doom. With the child whose choice pierces your plan. Pause. One breath. 2 words. God is. I am. Here. Now. Watch how the inner weather changes. Sometimes the outer weather changes with it. Sometimes it does not need to, because the fear is gone and you see through the mask. But always, always, the government returns to where it belongs. Grace begins where consciousness stops living in the future tense. This minute is holy ground, because this minute God is. Let your prayer be this simple resting, repeated as often as wandering starts. God is. I am. Here. Now. From that still point, the adding takes care of itself, and life, without your strain, discovers its harmony. Meditation is our opening wedge to the kingdom of God. Not a tranquilizer, not a technique to adjust externals. The opening wedge. If you approach it as a tool to fix a condition, you blunt its edge and it will not open anything. The only thing we are ever permitted to pray for is a realization of God. The rest is added by the nature of God being itself. My authority for that is the Master's own. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. I have watched sincere students enter the silence with an agenda. Heal this body, repair this account, mend this person, and then come out asking why peace has not visited them. Don't you see? You carried your bargaining table into the temple. You went to speak, not to listen, to instruct, not to consent. If you go into meditation hoping to heal, you will not succeed. Hoping to prosper, you will not succeed. Hoping to fix a relationship, you will not succeed. You may sometimes obtain a temporary adjustment, but you will not obtain God, and therefore, you will not obtain the harmony that endures. Meditation is communion. The object of meditation is God. Desire is sin when it is for effect. The desire to know God is prayer. When the desire is single, reveal thyself. The heart quiets, and in that quiet, the presence announces itself. Not in words usually, in a felt rightness, an inner yes. That yes is the beginning of governance. How then shall we practice? Enter quietly. No ritual is necessary. No posture earns God. Sit, stand, walk. Be still within. Lay the day on the altar. If a need rises up with a loud voice, acknowledge it, and lay that too on the altar. Then cease. Let the first movement be simple recognition. God is. I am. Here. Now. Not as magic syllables, but as the return of your attention from tomorrow to the one. Rest in that. Listen. Do not outline the form of good. Do not furnish the channels. Do not compose a plan for God to bless. Listen. When the mind wanders, and it will, do not wrestle it. Return again, softly. God is. I am. Refuse the clause after is and am. No if, no when. This is the moment in which I and the Father are one. Linger there without demand. If no word comes, let the silence be your word. If a phrase rises, "Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things," let it float and dissolve back into quiet. Leave the meditation without a request trailing behind you. Carry the hush into the next act, phone call, spreadsheet, sink of dishes, as a consent rather than a push. You will find that where consent abides, harmony appears. Not because you aimed at harmony, but because God realized is harmony. When meditation is for God alone, it becomes the doorway through which the Christ announces its presence, and in that presence, the forms of good arrange themselves without your strain. Seek the kingdom. Let the adding take care of itself. There is a moment, and you will recognize it when it comes, in which the strain shows its face. The mind reaches. It leans into the next minute to grab it by the throat. The breath gets thin, the shoulders rise, and a little private voice begins to dictate terms. Say this, do that, move them there. That is the cue. Do not argue with it. Do not explain to it. Notice it, and release the reach. One soft inward turning. God is. I am. Father, reveal thyself. Remain. Neither hurry nor hold. In that remaining, without project, without bargain, something else takes over. The initiative shifts from you to the presence. You will feel it as the quieting of the inner argument, the softening of urgency, an unmistakable sense of being carried. It is not dramatic. It is certain. This is the pivot. This is the point at which grace ceases to be a word and becomes an operation. Not because you have made it act, because you have stopped blocking its action with your outline. The Master gave us the key when he said, "I can of mine own self do nothing." And in the same breath, "The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works." Do you hear the transfer of government? Nothing passive in it, nothing lazy in it. It is a yielding of personal will to present tense divine activity. Do not mistake this for resignation. Passivity says, "It doesn't matter," and sinks into neglect. Surrender says, "Only God matters," and stands alert within. Passivity is fear that has run out of tactics. Surrender is love consenting to be governed. Passivity turns off the lights and waits for chance. Surrender opens the inner door and waits upon God. One collapses, the other attends. One avoids responsibility, the other receives it from a higher hand. What are the signs that you have crossed this threshold? The compulsion to explain yourself or persuade another drops away. The body loosens without your telling it to loosen. The next right word stands up in you unlabored, or there is a blessed freedom to say nothing at all. Time, which a moment ago was a whip, becomes a servant. You are not dragging the hour. You are being moved through it. This is not fantasy. This is the feel of spiritual government. Take no thought is no longer a sentence you admire. It is the atmosphere you breathe. From here, a new posture carries the day. It is not, I must make it happen. It is, Father, reveal thyself. And then let the revelation govern. If an email is to be written, you will write it in 2 lines and it will be sufficient. If a call is to be made, the words will be given you in that same hour. If nothing is to be done, the restraint will be clear and sweet. You are not idle. You are responsive. Not managing results, consenting to reality. Grace becomes power at the exact point you stop outlining and start consenting. Return to that point a dozen times a day if you must. God is, I am. Father, reveal thyself. Remain. Out of that remaining, the works appear, and they bear the mark of ease because they do not originate in you. They are the Father's, and in them you recognize your life at last, governed, quiet, and free. Now, having yielded the personal outline, you will ask, but what about the problems that still stand before me? Here is the next special principle, and it must be received without compromise. Error is hypnotism. The belief in 2 powers, good and evil, is the root dream. In that dream, appearances draw power from your fear and your fight. The more you slap at the shadow on the wall, the more convinced you become that the shadow is a man. Don't you see? Your struggle is the blood supply of the appearance. The Master has already instructed us. Resist not evil. That is not a counsel to be a doormat. It is the wisdom that knows evil has no law, no cause, no divine ordination. What you fight, you certify. What you fear, you feed. What you analyze, you fasten. The names, disease, debt, injustice, loneliness, are decoys. They demand your mental swordplay. But the Spirit answers them with one fact. God is the only power. Where God is all, what second power can be present to oppose it? Apply the test that has saved me more than once. If you can see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, or smell it, it has no power in spirit. I did not say it has no appearance. I said it has no power. Power is invisible. Power is God. When sensation presents a report and fear races to the helm, halt it with the present tense word. God is. I am. Then be still. Be still and know that I am God is not poetry. It is operational instruction. Stillness breaks mesmerism. Do not misunderstand. To deny appearances with your lips while your insides tremble is not the stillness I mean. I mean turning from the picture as cause and resting in the presence as cause. You do not overcome error by wrestling it, but by recognizing its nothingness in the presence of God. Stand there until the emotional charge dissolves. Sometimes it is a minute, sometimes it is a vigil. But hold to the spiritual fact without furnishing it a visible proof or a deadline. Get thee behind me is not a fight, it is a placement. You put the appearance behind the realized presence. Then, and only then, right action is revealed. It may be a phone call, a payment plan, a doctor's visit, a boundary, a word of forgiveness. But it will come unforced, and it will carry the ring of authority, because it does not proceed from fear. You are not fighting shadows. You are consenting to light. Where light is, shadows are nothing more than the play of absence. Return as often as needed. God is. I am. Refuse the clause after is and am. Let the one power be itself in your awareness, and watch how the noise thins, the spell loosens, and harmony takes its rightful place without the lash of your will. Having seen that error has no law, and that wrestling it only tightens the trance, you will ask, then what governs? Here is the answer in the language of our path. Christ is the government. Not a far figure to be admired at a distance, not a relic of history to be recited on holy days. Christ is the Spirit of God in man, presence within you, where you are, now. I and the Father are one is not a slogan. It is the identity of your being discovered when the personal outline is laid down. God is. I am. Christ is the meaning of that am in you. What is the nature of this Christ? To heal, to redeem, to forgive, to supply, to comfort. The sick are healed. The blind have their eyes opened. The captives are set free. The poor hear the good news. The broken are bound up, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. My authority for this is the Master himself. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Where Christ functions, there is no strain. There is authority without force, action without push, correction without condemnation. Love governs. Power is not personal force. It is Christ functioning where the personal will has yielded. Would you like to push the river? That is personal will. Would you prefer to be carried by it? That is Christ. I have never known anyone to accomplish spiritual healing by tightening their jaw. I have known many to witness healings when, in humility, they stood within and consented, Father, reveal thyself. The revelation is the government. It orders the thought. It loosens the fear. It lifts the body. It stills the tongue. It opens the way that was not there when you were pounding at the door. Do not seek fireworks. Seek the kingdom. In daily terms, it appears as quiet wisdom in a meeting, a sentence that lands softly and changes the atmosphere, a restraint that averts a quarrel, a courage that signs the paper that ought to be signed, a mercy that says, I was wrong, and makes the crooked place straight. Timely provision comes not because you chased it, but because love went out from you in service and returned as sufficiency. A relationship is restored not by argument, but by the comfort that flows when you no longer need to be right. This is not technique. It is nature. The nature of Christ as government. Do not imagine this is for a few. Neither circumcision nor uncircumcision availeth anything, nor this rite nor that badge. Only a new creature, the man or woman who yields the private will and lives in the present tense oneness. No teacher can do it for you. Not even Jesus Christ could do it for those who refuse to leave their nets of personal desire. But when you stop outlining and start consenting, when you live in the word is and the word am, the Christ finds entrance as law fulfilled. Then, take no thought, ceases to be an ideal and becomes your posture. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, ceases to be a verse and becomes physics, the way power works here. Be still and let the indwelling government be itself. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Christ in you, the present government. Rest there and watch how life, without your strain, organizes itself around the one immutable fact. God is. I am. And the Father within doeth the works. If Christ is government, then we must correct the way we approach the throne. Stop using God for results. I know that sounds severe, but it is mercy to say it plainly. Desire for things is not prayer. It is the attempt to add something to completeness. Infinity cannot be increased, nor can omnipresence be imported. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. To ask for effects is to confess that we do not believe that God is. Don't you see? The petition reveals the premise. Now let me refine it, because the statement, desire is sin, has frightened some. Desire is sin when it is for effect. The desire to know God is prayer. That single desire opens consciousness. All others tighten it. My authority for this is the Master. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Seek the kingdom, not its proofs, not its payments, not its protections. Seek God, and the adding is the nature of God being itself. But what of noble aims, you say? For my family, for my ministry, for my health. If the inner motion is for, you have an outline and a fear. You have selected an effect, furnished its timetable, and hired God as contractor. Noble adjectives do not sanctify fear. A golden outline is still an outline. The heart's clench is the same. Would you like to instruct God on the manner of his own sufficiency? Here is the holy substitution. Father, reveal thyself. Reveal the truth of being here. Not give me, not fix them, not hurry this. Reveal. When that revelation dawns, even as a hush, the human sense of need either dissolves, for it was mesmerism, or is met without struggle, because cause has been realized and effect has no choice but to appear. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, ceases to be a line and becomes a law. Not by might, not by power, by my Spirit. This desireless prayer is not apathy. It is singleness. It is not resignation. It is consent. Enter the silence and listen. If a need shouts, acknowledge it and lay it on the altar. Then refuse to bargain. Return to the miracle words. God is. I am. Father, reveal thyself. Watch for the clause that tries to attach itself. If, when, through this channel, and drop it. Take no thought does not mean take no action. It means take no outline. Action that is needed will rise of itself out of realization, clear and unforced. Make this your practice in the marketplace and by the bedside. No shopping list, no pressure, just presence. When you cease to use God, God uses you. And then prayer is no longer a lever on events, but a beholding of reality. From that beholding, love begins to flow, and supply, as always, follows love on its return path. The pure prayer is not, give me, it is, reveal thyself. God is, I am, and the Father within doeth the works. Now you will say, but I have a desk to sit at, a shift to cover, a bill to pay, a child to raise. Does take no thought mean I abandon prudence? No, it means you abandon anxiety as your God. It means you exchange compulsion for communion. Alignment is not laziness, it is intelligence. Divine intelligence finding unobstructed expression through you. The lilies are not idle, yet they do not strain. The Master did not commend neglect, he commended trust. Trust is not the absence of action, it is the absence of self-governance. In practice, this looks very simple. You still keep a calendar. You still answer emails. You still plan a budget. But your planning is listening, not forcing. The outline is not your security. Presence is. You move when an inner rightness says, move. You wait when that same inner rightness says, wait. 1 minute before the meeting, you stop the mental rehearsal and return to the miracle words. God is. I am. Father, reveal thyself. Then you enter, not to conquer, not to defend, but to witness what the Father within is already doing. Words come that have authority without edge. Or silence comes, and it is enough. Let me give you checkpoints, because the marketplace is full of counterfeit urgency. First, urgency. When you feel pushed by time as a whip, you have left is and are bargaining with minutes. Stop. 1 breath. God is. I am. Then proceed, and you will discover that time serves you when you cease serving fear. Second, self-justification. When the inner case lawyer begins to argue for your virtue, you have left the government of Christ and entered the courtroom of ego. Drop the defense. I can of mine own self do nothing is your robe. Third, mental rehearsal. When you play scenes in advance and sculpt everyone's lines, you are instructing God. Turn the theater lights off. Reveal thyself is the only script. Do not mistake this posture for dreaminess. It will make you more precise, not less. More reliable, not less. Anxiety scatters. Communion simplifies. You will find priorities clarifying of themselves. Fewer projects, truer ones. Fewer dramatic swings, steadier progress. You will notice forgiveness quickening, because you are no longer trying to extract behavior from others to steady your inner weather. You will notice decisions arriving rather than being forced. Arriving as a quiet certainty that stands up in you and does not wobble when questioned. Try it at the cash register, at the hospital desk, on the sales floor, in the kitchen. Before you speak, a pause. God is. I am. If the word rises, give it. If it does not, withhold it without fear. Before you sign, a pause. Reveal thyself. If the yes is clear, sign. If it is cloudy, wait, even if the world prefers your haste. You will discover that in this way of living, outcomes arrange themselves with a wisdom your cleverness could not have achieved. Not by might, not by power, by my Spirit. This is how the world is served, without you being enslaved by it. Action proceeding from communion, not compulsion. Busy hands, quiet heart. Present love, present order. Take no thought does not make you irresponsible. It makes you rightly responsive to the only government that does not strain. God is. I am. And the Father within doeth the works. Love is supply. Not the love that comes to you, the love that flows out from you. This is a special principle, and it refuses to be a slogan. It is an operation. When love flows, supply is already present because God is already present. When love is withheld, supply seems obstructed because you have dammed the only river through which God can reveal himself as sufficiency, your own outflow. Freely ye have received, freely give. The giving is the visible of an invisible fact. Control hoards, calculates, bargains, and then complains of drought. It budgets fear. It weighs every gesture on scales of return and then wonders why the scales do not move. Love gives. Love forgives. Love cooperates. Love trusts the governance of Christ. And in that giving, forgiving, cooperating, and trusting, the sense of lack breaks. Don't you see? Lack is a symptom of self-containment. You locked the door and then mourned the fresh air. Here is the law of return, not as metaphysics, but as divine circulation. What you pour out in service, friendliness, competence, patience, mercy, returns as opportunity, provision, support, and timing you could not have engineered. Give attention of the highest quality and watch how doors open to your work without your knocking them down. Give honest craftsmanship, and clients appear from roads you did not pave. Give time to comfort one who cannot repay you, and help arrives for you from hands you did not know were guided to you. Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, and shaken together, and running over. Not by bargain, by nature. This is spiritual economics. Supply is not grabbed from the future. It is revealed as the present activity of God expressing as generosity now. God is, I am. Therefore, supply is, not as coins first, as love first. Money, contracts, introductions, housing, ideas, these are the shadows cast by love's movement. Cause is God realized as outflowing love. Effect appears as the harmonies we call support. Live in cause. The effect cannot fail to take form. Where shall you begin? Begin where you are. Express love where your 2 feet stand. In the meeting that tempts you to compete, bless and collaborate. In the household that tempts you to tally, serve without counting, and watch how the ledger erases itself. In the rivalry that tempts you to justify, apologize and restore the brother. In business, deliver more than is asked, because you are not buying approval, you are consenting to abundance. In each act, the same inward pivot. God is, I am. Father, reveal thyself as love here. Then, let love spend you. Do not hear this as recklessness. Hear it as obedience. You are not emptying yourself into a pit. You are consenting to a law. I have never known anyone to impoverish themselves by loving under the government of Christ. I have known many to remain cramped while stacking coins atop fear. When love governs, ideas arrive, introductions are made, the phone rings at the needed hour, a yes appears where there had been no path. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things is not a sentiment. It is circulation. So let the calculation cease. Let the outflow begin. A kind word you have been withholding? Release it. A small debt of courtesy? Pay it. A competence you can offer without fanfare? Offer it. A forgiveness that would clean the channel? Give it. Then stand still inside the hush. God is. I am. And allow the law of return to operate without your stopwatch. You will find that harmonies come back, the way birds return to a clear fountain. Naturally, abundantly, without chase. Love is supply. Let it flow out, and you will discover you have been living at the headwaters all along. Let us bring it to practice. 7 days, not as a challenge, but as consent. A week of the inner pivot that moves you from outlining to yieldedness, from strain to governance. Day 1. Seeing. Spend this day noticing control. Do nothing to fix it, just see it. Hear the tone that rises when outcomes are threatened. Watch the rehearsal of tomorrow. Mark it gently. This is control. At the end of the day, ask, where did I try to manage outcomes? Where did I consent? What happened in my inner climate? Day 2. Stopping. Today, each time you feel the reach, pause. 1 minute is enough. 3 times a day at least, morning, midday, evening. Set the instruments down. Drop the outline. 1 breath. Father, reveal thyself. Then let the next right step present itself. Don't make it. Let it. Day 3. The first miracle word. Live in is. God is. Refuse the clause after is. No if, no when, no through whom. Pause 3 times today and let is clear the fog of tomorrow. At night, ask, where did is lift the weight of time? What shifted in the atmosphere within me? Day 4. The second miracle word. Live in am. Not the personal I am that preens, the I am of identity. I and the Father are one. Whisper it in the pause. I am. Rest there until the sense of separateness thins. Ask, where did I stand as I am, and what ceased to frighten me? Day 5. Desireless meditation. Into the silence for God alone. 3 short times at least. No list, no bargain. Just the holy substitution. Reveal thyself. If a need shouts, lay it on the altar and return to silence. In the evening, ask, where did I cease asking for effect and feel presence instead? Day 6. Refusal to wrestle. Today, do not fight appearances. Note them. Place them behind realized presence. God is. I am. Be still. Then let right action, if any, rise unforced. Ask, where did I withhold my sword, and find that light scattered shadows without my swing? Day 7. Love as outflow. Let love spend you. 3 times, stop for a minute and consent. Reveal thyself as love here. Then give the kindness, the competence, the forgiveness. Without tally. Ask, where did love go out, and what answered it? Hold to the micro-practice each day. 3 pauses, 1 minute each. Drop the outline, feel presence, let the next right step present itself. Keep your small ledger of consent with the questions I have given you. This is not a program of merit. It is a clearing of channels. If you falter, begin again. If you forget, begin again. No teacher can do it for you. Not even Jesus could do it for those who refused the inner yielding. You must make the shift yourself. Then grace is no longer theory, it is operation. Take no thought. God is. I am. And the Father within doeth the works.